Tonight we're going to be doing the United Arab Emirates. The UAE, as it's usually known, it's an elective monarchy. These are all monarchies, formed from a federation of 7 emirates. So we only usually hear about 2, but there are 7 emirates. The most prominent of those, and the ones we'll look at tonight, are Abu Dhabi and Dubai. But there are actually 7 emirates, and you can see all of them there. In practice, the ruler of Abu Dhabi serves as president, while the ruler of Dubai is vice president and prime minister. As of 2023, the total Emirates population was just under 10 million. Like other Gulf states that we've talked about, official religion is Islam, official language is Arabic, but English is used for business. Lots of oil, lots of natural gas. We're going to be visiting sites in both Abu Dhabi and Dubai tonight. So I'm not going to mention a great deal about the history. You got to, from the last 2 times, you probably got a little bit of a feel about the history of the area. But I will say a few things. Much of the history has been based on pearling and trade. Okay, the other countries as well. Pearls were big on the coast, and then trade. In the 18th century, it was this dynasty, the Qasimi dynasty, that ruled. Again, if we go back to the 18th century and you look at this area, it wasn't what it is today. It was largely just desert. There were no big, as you'll see, skyscrapers, and this was an Arab dynasty. Most of these states that we've looked at for a period of time had small Arab groups that were ruling them, and then who sticks their foot in the door? The British. And I can say that because I'm part British. My mother was very British, if you remember my mom. And in fact, whenever I talk about the British, and I usually didn't have a lot of positive things to say about them in the colonial history, she'd always say, "Billy, can't you say anything nice about the British?" I say, "Yeah, tea and cricket." Anyway, the British, we've seen this before. They come in, they make treaties. The treaties are based on concessions and protection. They will protect the ruling sheikhs, etc., and they will get certain concessions. And so that was the case. And then over time, these different sheikdoms formed what were known as the Trucial states, Truicial. And they came together as a sort of federation, and they had their own policies. But who controlled foreign policy? The British. They wanted to make sure that they had control of what was going on in the area around them. The agreement that was had with these states was a little less than a protectorate. wasn't quite a protectorate. But in practice, that's how it acted out. And there was a council, and they started meeting semi-annually in 1952. Then in January of '68, when the British announced that we're leaving, we're going to withdraw from the Persian Gulf, these states and the sheikdoms of Qatar, which we looked at last time, and Bahrain, initiated plans to form a new confederation. After 3 years of negotiation, Qatar and Bahrain backed out. That's why they're separate countries today, and decided to become independent states. And these Trucial states became known as the United Arab Emirates, the UAE, those 7. So on January 5th, 1936, that was 71 was independence. December 2nd, 71. But again, and we've seen this in each of these states, oil. The Petroleum Development Trucial Coast Limited, which was related to, remember last time, the Iraq Petroleum Company, It was called the Iraq Petroleum Company, but who controlled it? French, British, and Americans. And Iraq got a little bit. And that's how it was for quite a while. So oil was found, and a concession was struck with the oil companies in 1939 for a 75-year concession. So this was signed in 39. So for 75 years, there's going to be a concession, and there's going to be basically most of the profits will go to the French, British, and American oil companies, but with enough to change the lifestyle of all these countries. So that was 39. It wasn't until 1958, however, that oil was struck. So it took about 20 years before they actually were able to strike oil. And it was at an ocean depth of 8,755 feet. In 59, an onshore well was discovered. And then these events really began to transform the Emirates into a haven of what would eventually become global billionaires. Global billionaires. So Abu Dhabi was the first beneficiary from the oil trade, and it used it to fuel massive construction programs, schools, housing, hospitals, roads. This is when the Emirates start to change into what we would know them as, not just desert. Then in 1966, new oil fields were discovered 60 nautical miles from the Dubai coastline. So there's lots and lots and lots of oil in the Emirates. First oil was developed and exported in 1969. Became known as it was here, black gold. And it transformed the entire region, because every state that we've seen has had great oil deposits. Okay, let's now turn to the two major Emirates, Abu Dhabi and Dubai. So this is where Abu Dhabi is. Can you see it up on? Unfortunately, these maps, but it's the little red dot or box is the city of Abu Dhabi. It's an island city, and you can see it there. It's located on that small island that you can see on the map. Abu is Arabic for father. Dhabi is the Arabic word for gazelle. Thus, Abu Dhabi means father of gazelle. Why? I'm not sure. Gazelle, yeah, like in a gazelle, yeah. They must have gazelles. I haven't done my research on Abu Dhabi gazelles, but maybe I should do that when I get back. Abu Dhabi urban area, as of 2023, had a population of 2.5 million. It houses the local and federal government offices for the UAE, if we mentioned. Remember, there are 5 other states that belong to this overall. It's the Supreme Council of Financial and Economic Affairs is here. The current monarch, there he is, Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan. The Nahyan family goes way back. It has a hot desert climate. The months of May through September are extremely hot and humid. Maximum temperatures averaging about 105 degrees. So if you're going to go to either Abu Dhabi or Dubai, don't go in the summer. Anytime you go, it's going to be warm. I was there in September when I was on my way to Nepal, and it was 110. Yeah, so kind of like Palm Springs. The best months to go are March through April if you're going. Currently, Abu Dhabi holds 9% of the world's proven oil reserves. That one country. And almost 5% of the world's natural gas. So let's go on a tour. And we'll start at the Sheikh Zayed Grand Mosque, which was constructed between 1994 and 2007, inaugurated December 2007. This mosque, non-Muslims can enter this mosque. Many mosques throughout the world, only Muslims are allowed to enter. This mosque, you can enter. The building covers 30 acres. 30 acres. The main axis is rotated 12 degrees south of true west. So it can be aligned in the direction of Mecca in Saudi Arabia. The project was launched by the late president of the UAE, Sheikh Zayed, you see him small on the left, Zayed bin Sultan Al Nahyan. So the ruler today is his relative, okay? But this is the Nahyan family. He wanted to establish a structure that would unite what he called the cultural diversity of the Islamic world with modern architecture and art. So let's look inside. But look at that courtyard.
Do you know what the material is?
Marble.
Marble?
Oh yeah, white marble. When you got the bucks, you can build with whatever you want. Chandelier under the dome. The sheikh who built this died and was subsequently buried in the courtyard. There's his tomb. This is the minaret. We all remember what a minaret is for. It's the call to prayer. And in the building below it, there's a large library. Like I said, mosques are not just places of worship. They're community centers. You'll find libraries, you'll find schools, you'll often find hospitals, you'll often find shelters for homeless. So it's a community center. It's not just a place for worship, although that's its main function. But and that's true of most big mosques around the world, what they call the Friday mosques. They call them the Friday mosques because Friday is the day of prayer in Islam. And that's where, and if you can get to that big mosque, that's where you'll see, when you've ever seen pictures of rows and rows of people at the Friday prayer. They're usually called Friday mosques. And every big city will have 2 or 3 Friday mosques, and then lots of smaller mosques. The next building we're going to look at is known as Qasr al-Hosn. Qasr al-Hosn. Translated as fortified palace. This was a fortified palace. It's the oldest stone building in the city. It was designed by a very famous Middle Eastern architect, Muhammad al-Bakhtasi, and it was constructed in 1761. Locally, it's known as the White Fort, and you can probably see why. Originally, the building wasn't white, but during renovations, which took place between 76 and 83, it was painted bright white. There's a view of it from in the evening. And that's that part is called the White Tower, and you can see why. It was a small fort initially to protect the water supply. Water is a very precious commodity in this part of the world. It's everywhere in the world, but especially here. And we'll see in a few moments one way that it's being dealt with. It was the Emir's palace until 1966. Then there's the Qasr al-Watan, the Qasr al-Watan, the Palace of the Nations. It's not a residential palace. It's just a palace. It stands for the symbol of governance. This is where, when foreign dignitaries come, this is where all the meetings are held. Okay, that's why it's called the Palace of the Nations. Diplomatic state receptions, etc. It's also a public cultural monument showcasing Arabian craftsmanship and national heritage. It offers a look into the history of the nation and its traditions. Construction was completed in 2017. So this is a relatively modern building. Again, it was built for foreign guests, etc. And the exterior white and limestone shell is supposed to symbolize purity and peace. It's especially known, well, here's a second, for its Great Hall. You almost don't want to walk in there. Here's another one from a little more artistic view. Yeah, they're either air conditioned or, like we saw last week, a lot of these Arab Gulf nations have installed water pipes. That you pipe, instead of air conditioning, your walls have pipes and cold water goes in there. It's supposed to be more efficient and less costly. I don't know about these buildings, but these are air conditioned. Yeah.
Are there minarets there? I didn't see anything.
No, because this isn't a mosque. Yeah. You only have minarets at mosques. Yeah. Yeah. And usually they'll be part of the mosque. I think last week we saw in Qatar there was a single standing minaret, but that's rather unusual. If you're interested, there's a 12-ton, 350,000 crystal chandelier. Abu Dhabi is known for its falcons. And as a result, there's a major falcon hospital there. It's exclusively for falcons, no other animal. It was conceived and established by the Abu Dhabi Environmental Agency and opened in October of 1999. It's the largest falcon hospital in the world, with a patient influx of approximately 11,000 falcons per year. It's a royal bird. It's always been symbol with Arab royalty for some reason. The hospital describes its mission as follows: to protect, conserve, research, and promote captive bred and wild falcons' health, wildlife, and falconry tradition, to lead efforts of Abu Dhabi government to increase awareness and responsibility of people for animal welfare.
Do they use them in the city or at the airport?
I don't think so. I don't know.
It's a good place to be a falcon.
It is. Now we're going to move to the Louvre, Abu Dhabi. Now, what do you think that is? It's a museum.
Wow.
It operates under an agreement between the UAE and France, and officially signed in March of 2007. The agreement allows the museum to use the Louvre's name until 2037, and has been described by the Louvre as, quote, France's largest cultural project abroad. So you will get a lot of exhibits in this museum from the Louvre.
And do they pay the Louvre for?
I would imagine there was some payment there, yeah. I doubt if it was free.
Could I visit this museum for free, or would I have to buy a ticket at a time?
You'd probably have to buy a ticket. Yeah. It's known for its floating dome structure. It allows the sun to filter through. And the overall effect is meant to represent rays of sunlight passing through date palm fronds in an oasis.
Who designed that? Was that an Arab architect? French?
I don't know. It's approximately 260,000 square feet in size, with 86,000 square feet of galleries, making it the largest art museum in the Arabian Peninsula. Artworks from around the world are showcased at the museum, which stated intent to bridge the gap between Western and Eastern art. By 2019, the museum had attracted 2 million visitors. We can just take a quick look at some of the collection. I think that's a falcon. Classical, a whole area for classical. Who's that? Dancing Shiva. Yeah, Dancing Shiva, Indian Asian collection. That's Mary and Child. Medieval art. Manet. Gauguin. So, like I say, there's this interchange between the Paris Louvre and this museum. So before we leave, we're going to take a walk along the Corniche. We've seen this in every big city, right? A Corniche is a promenade along the ocean. They're wonderful walks. You get restaurants, cafes, all sorts of shops, etc. Okay, we're going to take a road trip because we're going to go to Dubai. So we're going to drive. You see where Abu Dhabi is there. We're going to drive north to Dubai. It's a 95-mile drive up to Dubai. So, what, an hour and a half. And this is along the Sheikh Zayed Road. It's the most populous Dubai in the Arab Emirates, in the capital Emirate. Yeah, if you'd have gone back 100 years, it's amazing what money can do. What money can do. The word Dubai probably came from daba, which means to creep, referring to this slow-moving Dubai Creek. So there's a creek that runs along there. Initially in the 19th century, it was just a small fishing village. It developed into a regional hub from the early 20th century and then grew rapidly with the discovery of oil and the wealth that brought. And of course, it focuses on tourism. Tourism is one of its major revenue sources, although I don't know why they need extra revenue when you go there. 2024, it was the 7th most visited city globally.
Visited for a short visit or as a destination?
Probably both, but mainly short visits. It's a good place to stop if you're going somewhere else. And you can see most of what you need to see in Dubai in 2 or 3 days. You don't need a lot more than that. It's in any case, but yeah, it does have a great international airport. It's the world's busiest airport for international passenger traffic. If you're going to India, you stop in Dubai. If you're going to anywhere in South, you're going to probably, if you're flying Emirates, and do fly Emirates, they are the best airline in the world. And I don't own any stock. Okay? But whenever I can fly Emirates, I will fly Emirates. More room space, and there's this notion which comes out of the Arab Middle East, hospitality. You are a guest when you're on their airline. You know, sometimes on other airlines, they, what do you want? Or that's extra. No, they treat you like guests, because there's this real notion of hospitality. You visit an Arab home, you're the prince and princess for that night, and they will treat you like royalty, because that's what's expected. It's a cultural norm. Very high hospitality. So there's my little, if you ever get a chance to fly Emirates, I would fly Emirates.
Any gambling machines in the airport?
I didn't see any gambling machines in the airport when I was there. It doesn't mean they weren't there. Well, there's the terminal.
There's a lot of tall buildings. It's a very residential area.
A lot of those tall buildings are residential. If you go back to that,
So there's nothing like
whoops.
houses around here.
See all these whitish, cream color buildings?
That's residential.
Yeah, those are condominiums. Yeah, space is of a premium here. The same if you go to Seoul, South Korea, if you've ever been there. Everything's up. Everything's up. Okay. There's a lot of land reclamation that's taking place. Okay? Adding extra land by digging up soil from under the surface. So there's a lot of that going on to try and expand the amount of land that exists. Population 4 million, Dubai. It's one thing about the airport, they have little rooms where you can just go and sleep. You know, that's so nice. Especially if you have a long layover. You know, I think last time I flew was a 10-hour layover. So you like to be able to lie down. The city has a large real estate market, especially in the luxury segment. Its oil reserves are estimated to be 4 to 5 billion barrels, which is relatively small compared to Abu Dhabi, but still a lot. Weather, very similar to Abu Dhabi. What do you think the annual rainfall is in both of these places?
2 inches.
3. 3 inches. 3 inches. Yeah. 3 inches.
Oil.
Water. Desalination plant. Look at the size of that. Yep, they're putting a lot of money into desalination because it's needed. I mean, I think we mentioned this last time. We think of these desert areas as completely dry, but underneath there is a lot of water. That's why you get oases. You know, there's quite a bit of groundwater, but not enough to continually support a growing population. So there's a lot of effort being put into desalination. Current leader is Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum, current leader of Dubai. Remember, all of these are emirates, and remember, an emir is like a monarch or a king. They're all monarchies.
Does an emir have only one wife, or do they have emirates?
Traditionally, they could have what Islam allows, which is 3. They can have friends. They don't call them harems anymore, but they can keep their lives fairly private if they wish. So yeah, there's a tradition in the Middle East for these emirs and monarchs and shahs to have more than one wife often, and also we call them concubines, I think.
And if they have more children, the children are recognized.
Oh yeah, no problem with recognizing the children.
Do either of those countries have a university?
There's no university that I know of. There are lots of educational institutions, but if you're going to university and you have the money to do so, you're probably going to England, to London or France or Europe. But
Well, do they have to import most of their food?
they grow some, but yes, they import most of everything. Okay? There's no manufacturing. I mean, if you can buy everything, yeah, there's no need to have to put money into manufacturing or agriculture. So, yeah, So we talked about falcons. So why don't we go on a falcon safari? Yeah, this is a very popular event in Dubai. If you go with a tour, you're likely to go on one of these safaris. You drive into the desert. You have a guide, a falconer. You can personally handle the falcons, and they will fly away and come back to you, etc. So if you've never seen a falcon up close and personal, and you don't want to see one in a hospital, you can go on a safari, a falcon safari. And they teach you a lot about falcons, biologically, historically, etc. Okay, we're coming back to the city, and we're going to go to this neighborhood. It's known as al-Bastakia. This is the old neighborhood. Okay? It's sort of the cultural center at the moment, but it's been rebuilt. I'll give you a little bit of history about this. Its construction goes back to the 1890s, and it was built primarily by Persian merchants from Iran. This was the trade center for Dubai. Then in the 1980s, half of the area was destroyed by the government to make room for office complexes. And then in 1989, the Dubai municipality directed the remaining parts to be destroyed for more office complexes. A British architect by the name of Rainer Otter started a campaign to preserve the area and called upon the hero, Prince Charles. He asked, when he was on a visit, he asked to visit the neighborhood and strongly suggested it should be preserved. And it was. The demolition was canceled, and some of the old parts of this area were rebuilt into what is now known as the Bastakia. And it's right, you can see these are some scenes from a little bit artificial. It's like so going to Disneyland to see the old Dubai. We walked through. Now, we weren't very impressed, but of course it was 110. But there's all sorts of little lanes and shops, and this was these are my pictures. That's why there's no people there. It was 110.
So they have cottage industries that make
Yeah.
those things?
Yeah, they have small industry. I like this this banner. Can you see what it says? Smart police station.
As opposed to a dumb.
Yeah. Like I said, it's also the home of Fahidi Fort. It was built in 1787. It's the oldest existing building in Dubai. and it contains the Dubai Museum. Now, this is nothing like the Louvre. This is a museum of basic, traditional Dubai. Just life, lots of panoramas of what life was like in traditional Dubai. So it's not really an art center. So for example, those were the boats that were used for pearling. As I mentioned, pearling was a big industry in all of these Gulf states. And here is supposedly a scene, of women making some sort of bread. Very different from today. These are supposed to be some pearl merchants. That was a sort of a traditional bedroom. And jewelry, musical instruments. So, like I say, it's in the old cultural area. So it's a cultural museum rather than. I wasn't that impressed, to be quite honest, but it was nice to see a few of the older images.
Do they still do any pearling now?
I would imagine it's done, but it's not. I don't think it's known for that anymore. You guys are asking difficult questions tonight. I'll get a bone up on my pearling and my falcons. And nearby is the Burj Dubai Mosque. Again, nothing to compare to the mosque in Abu Dhabi. Although the interior is nice. Now, after we leave the mosque, we're going to jump on a water taxi. By the way, you might want to know what that Arabic says above the mosque there. It says, in the name of Allah, the most gracious, the most merciful. It's usually found at just about the beginning of every surah of the Quran. Okay? So that's what that Arabic says. Okay, so we're going to take a water taxi across Dubai Creek. I mentioned there was a small creek, which Dubai is probably named after. And we're going to go to two of the most famous souks. Remember what a souk is? A market, a traditional market. So this is the modern way to get there. I think it carries 10 passengers. And it drops you off at different locations. If you want to go the more traditional route, you can do that. But we're headed to these two famous souks. These are the old-fashioned bazaar. You can compare these to when we see the malls, the modern malls. These are the old traditional markets. And the two most famous are the spice souk, where you can find any spice from anywhere. And the gold souk. This market traces its roots back to the late 1940s, when Indian and Iranian traders set up their shops in Dubai. Today, it's one of the world's busiest jewelry markets. Hundreds of shops and stalls with everything that glitters. Okay, if you ask somebody what is Dubai most famous for, what would you say?
The island?
The buildings, the big buildings. This is the Burj Al Arab, a luxury hotel, sometimes referred to as the world's only 7-star hotel. It's one of the tallest hotels in the world, 1,063 feet. It stands on an artificial island. Can you see it there? Let me get a better view. And it's connected to the mainland by a private curving bridge. The shape of the structure is designed to resemble the traditional Arabian dhow, D-H-O-W. That's the boat. Okay. So it's supposed to be, you can see it's shaped like a boat.
And how much would it cost me to stay there overnight?
You have enough? Well, in a moment I'll... Anyway, here's a night view of it. A restaurant at the top. Do you have enough to eat there? There's the royal suite. I was going to keep this for my good friend Gene, but he didn't come tonight. So who would like it? And then there's the Burj Khalifa. It's the world's tallest building. Total height, 2,722 feet.
How many stories?
Over half a mile. I don't know the number of stories, but would you like to come count them? It's a half mile up. It was completed in 2010 and has since become a global icon of modern architecture. How you could ever, I don't know, how do you build something like that and make sure it doesn't fall over? Oh, 163 floors. There you go.
That's what I thought. Does that get all lit up on the news?
It's lit up all at night, every night. I didn't get a night picture.
I take it they don't have unionized hotel workers.
They're all foreigners. Yeah, if you were here in the last two classes. Dubai's the same as all these others. About 80% of the population is foreign workers. Only 20 to 25% are citizens. Yeah, if you go into these hotels, they'll be from the Philippines, from Nepal. Yeah. There, if you want to see the view from the top. So, right next to this building is the mall, the Dubai Mall. Okay, this is a little different than your traditional bazaar. By the way, in 2011, that was the most visited building in the world. Attracted over 54 million visitors, and most were not paying. They were just, what you can do in those, you go in you get into a lift and they take you up to the top. And as you're going up, it takes a little while, they give you a bit of the history of the building, and then you come out and you see the view that I saw. Yeah, we did that. That's a little different than the traditional. I like I said, I like the old souks. I like to go into the traditional one.
It's a financial question. Do the folks there, I mean, do they have to work or they get a cut? They're all wealthy that live there?
Yeah, they all get a cut.
Huh?
They all get a certain percentage. And a lot of them then have their own businesses. And yeah, you don't really have to work if you're a citizen.
So that's why you have all the imported workers.
Yeah. No, you wouldn't find a citizen out on a construction site or doing anything like that. That would be seen to be beneath them. Is it a form of someone said modern slavery? It depends how you define slavery, but it's certainly a form of the wealthy standing aside and not having to do any of the real quote unquote work.
Well, do the workers get a decent salary?
Depends what you mean by decent. There's been, as we talked about, was it in Qatar or was it in Kuwait? There were complaints by the international labor groups, and there have been efforts to raise those wages to some degree. But you got to remember, most of these. Somebody asked, are there families there? Usually not. It's the men, like let's say from Nepal, men who need jobs will come, work in Dubai, send half their salary home. In fact, that sort of income is one of the highest forms of income in Nepal, which shows you that Nepal is a very poor country. So if you're having to send people out and then they send half back, and that gets registered into your GDP, you can see what the situation is. Yeah.
The whole business of making the money transactions back and forth.
Oh, yeah. Okay, then there's this known as Palm Jumeirah, which is an artificial island, and it's part of the development series called the Palm Islands. We saw land reclamation earlier. You dig these up and you make these little island spots. When it's completed, it will increase Dubai's shoreline by 320 miles. And the island was created using land reclamation.
There's buildings, is that what I'm seeing?
Yeah, those are buildings, condominiums. It's just
One place is still
it's a way of increasing land, but doing it in sort of an artistic form. Then there's this place, the Dubai Miracle Garden. It's a large flower garden, had its opening Valentine's Day, 2013. An area of 780,000 square feet, making it the world's largest natural flower garden. It features over 50 million flowers and 250 million plants. Now, to me, this gets a little bit over the top, but this is what they've done.
Disneyland.
Yeah. If you're interested, it's maintained by treated wastewater, 200,000 gallons per day. They made a deal with Disney. And Mickey Mouse was unveiled in February of 2018.
They can make a deal with whoever they want to.
That's right. Yeah, they can make a deal with that's true.
Can you become a naturalized citizen there?
Can you immigrate? Don't. It would be pretty difficult. Pretty difficult. You know, most places, if you can bring a couple million with you, in Dubai, a couple million? That's chunk change. In any case, they're attached to it, however, there's this wonderful butterfly garden. It's the world's largest and the region's first indoor butterfly garden and sanctuary. World's largest. 15,000 butterflies from 26 different butterfly species.
And all of that lives in the 110-degree heat?
Yeah, they keep, well, it's indoor, and they have,
Oh, it's indoors.
this is indoors, and they have, the sprinkler mist Has anyone ever been to a butterfly garden? Yeah, where were we? In London, I think that, yeah, but they have the mist coming down, yeah. In any case, it's, I would go to that, maybe not the flower garden, I don't know. Now this is a very interesting place. It's called the Museum of the Future, devoted to innovative and futuristic ideologies. It's located in the financial district. And it was, you see the quotes on there? It's a poem written by the Emir. That's why I have his picture up there. There are two quotes, actually. It says, first one says, "We may not live for hundreds of years, but the products of our creativity can leave a legacy long after we are gone." And the second, "The future belongs to those who can imagine it, design it, and execute it. The future does not wait. The future can be designed and built today." And then one more, "The secret of the renewal of life, the development of civilization, and the progress of mankind is found in one word: innovation." So this museum takes you on a journey to the year 2071. And it has 5 different floors, and they all have different exhibits. What's that?
Did they commission people to create these?
I guess so. Yeah. There's the virtual reality room, where you put on your headgear and you can do just about anything, go just about anywhere. Yeah. There's what is known as the DNA library. There's something called the wellness room, and this is the core to it. It's all sorts of innovative health products that in the future that they see. What will health look like in 2071? See, all these are designed. What will things look like in the year 2071? And then there's an orbital space station at the top. Okay, we'll finish up. We're almost done. Again, along the Corniche. If you just love to take strolls along the promenade on the Persian Gulf, all sorts of restaurants. Retail outlets. All the big names are here. And then there's this place called the Waterfront Market. It opened in 2017, so it's relatively new. It's really, look at these. It's known for its fish market. This is where you go to get your fresh fish. Then there's the Dubai, we'll finish with the Dubai fountain, I think. This isn't Las Vegas. Las Vegas copied this. It's built on a 30-acre artificial lake, the Burj Khalifa Lake. It can spray 22,000 gallons of water in the air at any one time. And of course, they have shows, these water shows. Okay, we'll finish up with a river dinner cruise. Where and there'll be musicians playing. And
What might the main course be?
it's a buffet.
Anything you want.
Anything you want. Yeah, it's a buffet. Now remember, next week we're not meeting. I'm going to be in Riverside playing golf. But we will meet the following Tuesday, which will be Oman. And that'll be the last of our Gulf visits.